Les parapluies, les parapluies.
Non, on peut pas poser.
Les parapluies.
Mr. President Smith, can you have a look this way?
Là.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This way, please.
President Macron clearly believes that he can have some kind of impact on the decision-making process in the United States in a moment of crisis, transatlantic crisis. We haven't seen a moment like this in transatlantic history for a very long time. In fact, we've never seen anything quite like it. There was a moment of crisis during the 2003 Iraq War, which was quite sharp, but nothing quite as sharp as this one. I think Macron believes that he has a historic role to play. Whether he can actually achieve something, however, in this visit is an entirely different matter.
Доброго дня. Вітаю.
Well, if he walks away with a seat for Europe, that's a big win, actually, because until now the administration has been saying no Europe. So that would be a pretty big win. I'm not sure he's going to get that, actually, but that would be a big win. And that would imply that Europe could weigh, perhaps, in the ultimate negotiations over the fate of Ukraine.
Very good. Подчеркнуть, я, конечно, понимаю, у нас общая озабоченность по поводу того, что происходит в сфере безопасности в Европе. Et je хочу поблагодарить тебя за то, что Франция неизбежна.
Je pense que la discussion d'aujourd'hui, à mes yeux, peut amorcer ce vers quoi nous devons aller, qui est une désescalade dont nous connaissons d'ailleurs les termes.
Putin doesn't want that. Putin wants a face-to-face with Trump to negotiate everything above the heads of the Ukrainians and the Europeans. He wants to make as many military gains as possible prior to whatever negotiations occur. He won't make major gains, but there might be some slight territorial gains. All of this is positioning. What Macron is doing by going there is trying to position Europe, himself and Europe, in the negotiation process. Where this leads ultimately is not clear, because that will depend more on Trump and Putin, Trump primarily, than on the Europeans.
Les efforts, particulièrement sur l'Iran, on travaille activement, on a beaucoup d'échanges et je crois qu'on partage cette volonté. Libya, Syria, Ukraine, North Korea and Iran. Trade exchanges, because I think if we manage the negotiation. Thank you. Merci à vous.
During his first term, Macron shook his hand in a very decisive way, and then Trump commented that he had a really good handshake. So Macron apparently believes that he has some kind of personal edge here that he can use vis-a-vis of President Trump to shift U.S. policy thinking on a grand strategic issue on which I think Trump is not going to be moved. They believe that Europe is a secondary player in world politics and has always been a secondary player, and that the core issue for the United States is great power relations. That means U.S. relations with China, U.S. relations with Russia, and that the secondary players are secondary players, you see. That's how Trump views the world, and that's how the U.S. administration as a whole views the world. So they may listen to Macron, but they will not accede to European requests in any significant way. I don't see how this trip is going to shift things in any fundamental way in Washington. It depresses me. I think Trump is very cold in his judgments. He doesn't have any empathy and solidarity in the way in which he thinks about the world. I don't think he has a particularly close relationship to Emmanuel Macron. I don't think he has a particularly close relationship with any of the international leaders that we know of, not Netanyahu either, actually. It's not a personal chemistry. They have an alliance, but not a personal chemistry, nor with the Japanese leaders. I don't see that. I don't think he has a personal chemistry either with Putin, contrary to what people have said. Or at least put it this way, Macron is in a position of lesser influence than he was when he first met Trump during the first administration. Macron's power and legitimacy within and in Europe has declined over the past 2 years, approximately, a decline of influence and power that's related very much to domestic politics, that he seems to have lost control of the domestic political agenda.
What they were targeting in terms of the ideas of people's...
So if you look at it that way, you have a somewhat weakened French president, not completely weakened, but somewhat weakened French president, and a strengthened U.S. Trump, and a strengthened Trump. So the balance there is not quite as favorable to Macron as it was in the first phase. And did Trump listen to Macron during his first term? Of course not.